This week's mutation is called One for All, and it's been played on Temple of the Past. We have 3 mutators active, which is Hardened Will, Inspiration, and Transmutation. We will be playing with Stukov and Stetmann, the newest co-op commander. As you can see over here, the masteries. We have Volatile Infested versus Infest Structure. This is not going to make much of a difference. Ideally, you'd not want to use either of those to deal with the attack waves, because Stukov is very good at feeding Amon's units. We have the Apocalypse cooldown over the Alexander cooldown, and then we have the mech attack speed over here, which means that Stukov will be going for a mech build. Stetmann, on the other hand, has the Gary cooldown reduction there for Gary's abilities. We have 5 points in the stat zone bonuses and 25 points into the Gonergy mastery. And lastly, we have the morph rate over there, which means we will be expecting to be rushing Super Gary out as quickly as possible. As you can see over there, that's a spawning pool being built right now, and that is really fast. So this morph rate is very good ability, especially. It helps complement Stetmann's weaker early game. Having Super Gary out a little bit early can really help. Additionally, my apologies, since this commander is new, you will only be able to see the satellite cooldowns on this overlay. I will be working to getting the other of Gary's abilities, at least the recall and the orb, but that'll be a while before I can figure out what was going on with it. Anyway, over here we can see Stukov has spawned a total of 11 infested so far. Gary has done 0 damage, so those are the stats over there. And the build is relatively normal. Stukov is taking an early expansion, and he will be using his infest structure to clear that expansion, at least the main rocks there. And over here we can see that Stetmann has already put his satellites down on this side, so this will help Gary be able to deal with the initial attack wave, which has Zerglings in them. As you can see over here, Stukov is basically moving the infested command center right now, so that he's able to clear his rocks relatively quickly. And the attack wave has broken through these the main lane rocks, and are dealing damage to the temple. Over here, Gary is just about to come out, and he makes a beeline for this temple to try and stop. As you can see, Transmutation does apply to the units that are dealing damage to the temple as well, but one of these orbs does enough damage to almost wipe out the entire attack wave. Since Gary is actually floating in the air, the Zerglings cannot attack him and they cannot aggro him. But now we have Gary being converted into Super Gary. Over here, the rocks are being cleared by Stukov. Production-wise, it's relatively normal. And Stetmann has already taken this expansion, taking out his gases, and here we go. So we have Gary over here, dealing this next Swarm Zerg composition. All the Banelings go down, and there are a few Lings that manage to make it through, but they also get one-shot by Super Gary, and he is going to make his way through now, and start clearing the defenders around the Zenith Stone. Stukov working away on his expansion, and Gary as well working on saturating that expansion. Production-wise, it's very macro-oriented this game. Super Gary is out a little bit early, and he can help handle the first few attack waves. It's the later stages of the game where you start getting attacked from 2 sides, where it's a little bit complicated. The satellite tries to go down, but gets taken out by the Spore Crawler. Next satellite comes down, and it gets overcharged with the shield. This will allow the player to basically AFK. These shields are really great for absorbing the damage. And Gary can just take out these Spore Crawlers over here, and there is another attack wave. Again, attack wave just gets completely wrecked by Super Gary's orb. And Gary is basically just working his way through and trying to all clear this lane. I've mentioned it many times on Rock Stopping Champions. Very important to try and clear these lanes out. It makes the mission significantly easier if you're able to clear out the entire area. A hybrid has spawned right now, and it has the it can provide the inspiration buff, and it has the hardened will buff. And this thing gets converted to a hybrid behemoth. This is the maximum tier unit that you can get from Transmutation. the hybrid will not convert after that, so you can get either a hybrid behemoth or a hybrid dominator, which is the spellcaster with the plasma blast and the silent storm. So once you have these two, either of these two hybrids, that's basically it. You are not going to be getting transmutation anymore on that hybrid. We have a bunch of siege tanks now by Stukov, and they start shelling the hybrid behemoth. You know, he almost goes down, but there are not enough infested. Now there are, and these things get taken out. The infested get absorbed by the siege tanks and get fired onto the hybrid behemoth, and down goes the hybrid behemoth. Stukov is, as you can see, working on a mech build, so it will take some time for Stukov to get his units out. There has been a slight buff to his mech units in terms of the mineral, in terms of the gas costs. The gas costs have been reduced a little bit by 25 gas for the Liberators. So those units will be coming out, but it will still take some time. Gary just warps forward over here and starts to clean up whatever's left of that enemy base. Now a Void Thrasher comes out, and a bunch of siege tanks have deep tunneled across here, and they will take out this Void Thrasher. Gary, on the other hand, still working away on here. See how these drones are working their way this way? They want to put down some more Spine and Spore Crawlers. So if you do want to all clear the lanes, make sure you clear the lanes completely, otherwise these drones will come up from the hatcheries and they will start rebuilding everything that was lost. We have a graphical glitch over here. The Liberators look like they're on the ground. That is very interesting graphical glitch there. The Liberators are not supposed to be like that. But we have another attack wave now coming up on this side. Attack wave on this side. There is nothing over there, so an Apocalypse comes down to start clearing whatever is in this attack wave, and we have Stukov's units that are being parked on this side now to deal with the subsequent attack wave that will be coming up here. A Scourge actually aggroes these satellites. The way I see it, like, I think Stetmann works really well in drawing aggro of attack waves, because Apocalypse is running away from here now. I think that was a miss F2 on the army, because yeah, I think that was a miss rally there. But yeah, Stetmann's satellites aggro all the Scourge and stuff, and so it kind of ends up protecting the temple. I don't think the temple took any more damage than it did from the start of the game. Anyway, we have an attack wave on this side, and we have another attack wave on this side. Over here, Super Gary is going to not drop an orb. We're going to go all the way through on this side. Stukov on this side is somewhat able to handle with the siege tanks, but the Alexander has come down and to try and deal with the air units. But as you can see over there, it is feeding some of the hybrids, so you're going to end up with some hybrid dominators on that side. Stetmann on this side is able to use his infestors and his roaches and ravagers to deal with the attack wave there. Over here, Stukov pulls through and is able to handle this attack wave, and actually the rocks are still up, which is also somewhat interesting. Scourge aggro the Alexander. Alexander doesn't care. Bunch of more Scourge aggro the Alexander. Alexander still doesn't care. And Stetmann is using his infestors now to start clearing this side. The infestors are really, really powerful units for Stetmann. He is able to just spam units so frequently, and he just is not affected by attack waves or even transmutation. These are the new Liberators in action. The Liberators work really well against air compositions because they don't really take much damage when they are in their cloud form. And that can help out a lot, especially when you're up against Swarmy Zerg, which can actually attack the cloud, but ends up dealing no damage. Over here, Stukov is just producing his units over here. He's making 5 more siege tanks, 4 more Liberators, and Stetmann is just working on his roach upgrades right now. He's working on his attack and armor upgrades, which get transferred to his roaches and his ravagers. We have another army, small army of roaches over here, and they are going to be working and dealing with this attack wave. Another attack wave has spawned over here. Now we have 3 hybrids on this side, and I think the ground attack wave has been essentially cleared up by this army. This will be a little bit more difficult. The Hardened Will is still available on these hybrids because there's another unit there, and it is going to be a little bit more tricky. Or hybrid behemoths on this side as well. But as you can see, these hybrids don't, like, you know, they are strong, these hybrids, they're tanky, but they don't really do a lot of damage. And when you spam so many roaches and so many ravagers, it is very unimpactful. I actually wonder, does the Unus Lost tab show you? Okay, this will be kind of interesting. I'll try and put this up near the end of the mission to see how many roaches and how many ravagers were lost in the process. because I don't think expired units don't really show up.
Our forces have met the enemy.
That might be an interesting stat to actually show for Stetmann, but it's very, very dependent on whether he's using his infestors. But as you can see over there, like, the Liberators are relatively decent. Like, at the moment, only 2 siege tanks were lost, and these Liberators engaged in an attack wave, and no Liberators were lost in that process. And that's purely because they take very, very little damage when they're in cloud form. I don't even think they take any damage. But this Zenith Stone has gone down now, and this Overseer is completely harassing the. Look at that hero Overseer right there, just to pull through. There is a Swarm Host that is sitting burrowed over here. We have a Warpin over here, a drop pod attack, but an Apocalypse goes down to try and deal with this, and the Apocalypse is just chilling over here. There will be one more drop attack over here, which will be handled by the Apocalypse. Meanwhile, Stetmann turns his attention to the last lane and sends his Roaches and Ravagers to clear whatever is left of that enemy base at the top there. There's the other drop attack. I believe the Apocalypse was not in position over there, but the siege tanks come down, and they have deep tunnel across, and they are ready to go. There's also a random factory over here that is walking around. It's not supposed to be there. But the Roaches, Ravagers, have mostly cleared out this base, but this hive is still up. So there'll be another wave here that'll be going up towards this hive to clear it. You have to clear these primary structures if you want to all clear the lane, otherwise it will make drones, as you can see over there, and they actually may even burrow and hide until your army is gone. So very important to keep clearing these bases over there. Are these drones running away? Yeah. These guys are now going to start. I think they're going to go towards the Zenith Stone. There is an air attack wave now, and there are a ton of Stukov Liberators. As you can see over there, they are really, really good at like not taking damage from Swarmy Zerg, because as long as they are in their cloud form, they I don't think they take any. Yeah, they don't take any damage there. As you can see, they're in cloud form, and eventually this hybrid is just going to melt away, and they maintain the cloud form until they stop attacking for I think 1.5 seconds. So it's really, really good. They are really it's a great buff for the Liberators here. You can see all these Overlords go down. The hybrid as well, like, it has the Hardened Will buff, but it doesn't really matter. You can see how this hybrid just goes down eventually. Now this hybrid actually dealt a little bit of damage and got converted to Behemoth, so this guy is going to be stuck here for the rest of the game. Stetmann working away on this one. These Ravagers are kind of getting body blocked by the Roaches in the front, but this thing is going to go down eventually. These Liberators are over here. We have siege tanks on this side as well. And there is another drop over here. That Lord goes down. Yeah, I think that the hybrid. Yeah, the hybrid is basically stuck over there. He's not getting across that side. There's an attack wave on this side, and there's an attack wave on the bottom lane as well. As you can see, the air units are leashed to the ground units, so as long as there's a ground unit, the attack wave will not make a beeline for the temple. As long as the ground waves exist. If the ground waves get killed off completely, the Scourge will make a beeline for the temple. Siege tanks have already deep tunneled across here, and they are ready to deal with these hybrids. And we have the Liberators as well that are coming up to deal with the air hybrids over here. And you'll see the amount of damage that these things do. These things do a lot of damage, and they deal damage really quickly. These hybrids do have Hardened Will, so they're, the Liberators are dealing like 10 damage ticks per, but you can see over here, Stukov's army doesn't really have a problem dealing with this. And now we have the Roach and the Ravager army that is coming up towards these hybrids and clears those hybrids off. We have 3 hybrid Dominators on this side right now, and another bunch of Roaches and Ravagers. They start targeting Stukov's base, but these Roaches and Ravagers are there, and as you can see, the Corrosive Biles that are auto-cast, by the way, by the Ravagers, really, really good at dealing with these Dominators. And now we have another drop attack on this side. And there appears to be nothing that is in position. We do have a bunch of Spine Crawlers, a bunch of Spore Crawlers, but the Liberators are in position now, and they will start to work and clear whatever is left of these drop attacks. And the siege tanks are actually not in position yet. But most of this area has been cleared off. These liberators are now in position to intercept whatever's left of the drop attacks. There is a drop attack, and then I believe there should be a hybrid, and then there should be another drop attack. So these siege tanks are now ready to go. I believe they were on cooldown during that time. Yeah, hybrid gets basically focus fire down by the liberator, gets eaten up by the liberators. Liberators start working on these overlords, and you can see the damage fairly, it stacks up relatively well here. They've become really good compared to how they were before the patch. Hybrid will go down, and these liberators are just focus firing down whatever's left in this. Hybrid Dominator spawns from the Transmutation, but again, the liberators do not care. They do not take any damage from the Hybrid Dominator as much as it's spamming its abilities. And whatever comes up from the drop attacks actually ends up getting wrecked by the Diamondbacks. Over here we have a bunch of Roaches and Ravagers that are pushing against a bunch of Hybrid Behemoths and Hybrid Dominators over there. And as you can see, the Transmutation Mutator, it only ends up with these two types of hybrids. But Stetmann does not appear to be having a problem in dealing with the these hybrids, which is kind of amusing. He just basically doesn't care. He basically says, you know what, if you want to get hybrid dominators, you want to get hybrid behemoths, go for it. I will just kill you with sheer numbers of units. You can see production-wise, Stukov is just he's just making more liberators and more siege tanks. He's going for a pure mech build here. And now the siege tanks have deep tunneled across, and they are going to get ready to deal with the next Void Thrasher that will be spawning. As you can see, the siege tanks have already dealt a lot of damage. The liberators are moving a little bit ahead to try and handle this coming up attack wave. You do not want the Scourge running and making a beeline towards the temple, so you kind of want to clear whatever's left of the air composition. The ground composition will just be cleared up by siege tanks. Over here we have Stetmann's army of Roaches and Ravagers that, again, have no problems in dealing with this attack wave. The Viper disabling cloud comes down and relatively effective against this composition, but again, sheer numbers apparently trumps unit quality over there. We have an Apocalypse that is parked over there, and he is looking in the direction of this next attack wave. As you can see, there's a little bit of an effect there, so the hybrids have already spawned, I believe. But again, Liberators in the front line. Parasitic Bomb goes down on the Liberators. Liberators don't care, and they're just going to aggro this hybrid and take it out. As you can see, hybrid goes down relatively quickly. Over here, Roaches, Ravagers working their way, and there's a random Tempest on this side. Another attack wave has come up over here. This is a larger hybrid attack wave, but the Liberators get straight to work. They are working on these hybrids on this side. But here, there does not appear to be enough Roaches and Ravagers. That Void Thrasher is still up, by the way. But oh, okay, he wants to go for the bonus objective. There's a little bit, there's a sliver of HP left on it. Okay, now we have another attack wave that's coming up from the mid lane. There'll be another attack wave on this side as well, but Liberators are ready. And they will move towards the attack wave over here. Over here, Stetmann with his army of Roaches and Ravagers. There are going to be a few Hybrid Dominators that will be created from this, I believe. But it's actually surprisingly not that much. I think against Swarmy Zerg it's not really much of a problem. I think on the larger attack wave. There we go, there's a Hybrid Behemoth over there. But you see, the hybrids are just really tanky. They're not particularly strong. They don't have a high or a significantly high DPS. When you have an army of, you know, 100 or 200 Ravagers and Roaches, it doesn't. One hybrid is not really going to make much of a difference. But this area is completely cleared out. There are 2, 3. Okay, there are quite a few hybrids on this side. And I think Super Gary is going to get completely smoked by that Dominator. This hybrid does not appear to look very, very happy. Guy looks relatively upset. There goes a Plasma Blast. One more blast on Super Gary. I think then one more blast, I think he'll be gone. Yeah, this attack wave has been cleaned up. And where is the Plasma Blast? Come on, Plasma Blast. Come on, hybrid. Oh, no, never mind. Super Gary's gonna go down anyway. Oh, no, he lived! There we go. 690 roaches lost 98 Ravagers. There we go. That is GG.